So after the fantastic success of my first mukbang video, I thought I'm eating dinner, might as well do another mukbang series or a mukbang. After the muted success of my first video, which was mukbang McDonald's, I'm doing my favorite unhealthy food, mukbang Chinese food. And I'm gonna do something very basic, which is like kind of almost like my kryptonite. It's from Five Spice. It's black bean chicken fried rice. You know how fried rice, Five Spice is notorious for giving you lots and lots of food. I think that they got used to it so much that they started compromising on quality. That was years ago, but I guess people started kind of got used to eating subpar food. But I mean, it wasn't really subpar. I shouldn't say that. I really do like and enjoy some Five Spice at any given point in time. But I especially like black bean. Black bean is my jam. So we're gonna be eating some other fried rice. I don't want to drop it, but some of the black beans. So I'm not gonna eat all of it. I can't possibly. If I was 21, I could. Wait, younger than 21, I could do this. But I'm not even proud of it. Kind of am. But I definitely could eat all of this all by myself. And then sit there and feel absolutely unhealthy and sick. More than unhealthy, sick. Because I would genuinely feel like there was a bit of like, I was just had a lot of gas. So, oh my god, they filled it up to the brim. It's spilling all over the place. There's so much cornstarch in this. You gotta be careful. I'm almost salivating about how much is there in this. But yeah, I think sooner or later I will start making my mukbang with food that I make. But right now there's a bit of work happening in my house, and I don't have access to my kitchen the way I would like to. But sure enough, I will have access soon. When I do, I will definitely progress into mukbang of my own food, which is going to be better. A lot of it will be healthier, be more keto. So I was told that I should also show my food to you, which I couldn't show last time. So I'm going to be a quick. Oh, I can't do reverse camera, but I'm going to just show the food to you. It looks quite delicious. I'm very excited about this. So yeah, mukbang fried rice. So fried rice is has always held a very. I'm a big fan of Chinese food. So, good. I particularly want to mention that I'm a big fan of Indian Chinese cuisine because I've eaten the real thing in Hong Kong, and it's not bad, but it's not what I look forward to when I think about Chinese food. I think about what we get in Bombay, and what I really remember was first time eating street Chinese food when I must have been about 4 or 5 years old, and there was this time when we had street Chinese food only in a couple of places in Bombay. So there's this one section of Nariman Point, it was an absolute Nariman Point, where they would have these carts. You know how we make a big deal about food carts? It was a thing back in 1991. It was a thing. Just before the riots, it was a huge thing. And after the riots, it kind of like walked up, it wasn't there for a bit. And then Chinese food became ubiquitous as carts from maybe about late mid to late 90s, 96, 97, it became a very standard thing. Chinese food went from being a fine dine experience, closer to what Japanese food is today, to becoming absolutely like a everyday meal or every like just order in kind of place years later. But I remember some of the more high end places, fine dine restaurants, was basically Chinese food is one of the cuisines that you would get to eat. Hmm. No, it's pretty basic, like black bean sauce, chicken and rice. It's really no. A place is good is when they can do the basics right. Hmm. 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 So there's a very interesting story about Chinese food that I would like to share. So we used to live in South Bombay, and like I said, fine dining or eating out, this is the celebration would happen typically in a Chinese restaurant, because there was only two kind of cuisine that we could eat. It was either Indian food, which was Punjabi food, roti, you know, uh, gravy, chicken, biryani. That's your standard. Or you would go the other direction and have Chinese food. That's probably what we had. I mean, we being South Indian ourselves, we never really thought going to having like dosa was a thing, because you could have dosa at home. And the other place that other kind of food that we actually enjoyed was Maharashtrian cuisine, which was usal pav, or eating authentic Malwani cuisine, which was like not exactly fine dine. It was more accessible, so it was definitely not a place to go to like celebrate. So it would either be Delhi Darbar to celebrate, which is Mughlai, which is not called Mughlai anymore. I mean, it is called Mughlai, but we don't really go to eat Mughlai food. It would either be a Delhi Darbar or a Shalimar, and the other side was either going to a Chinese room or a Flora restaurant. Um, for me, most of my life we used to go to Chinese room, which was in Kemp's Corner, which also was where we had a shop. We used to have a dairy, a retail milk place, where we would sell doodh, dahi, lassi, and so this was a place literally about 10 shops away from our shop. So we would go to Chinese room a lot. Anyway, so for me, going to the Chinese room, the playing of the Chinese music, and learning years later that it was owned by an Indian person, like an Indian, not a Chinese person. But interestingly enough, it had an authentic Chinese chef. This much we knew. Literally, we many years later, and this remember I've been going to this place since I was a kid, so maybe 4 or 5 years, all the way till about, and I was about 12 or 13, and then of course then we moved from town to the suburbs, so not visited that place, and then at age 20, I happened to join my first job and my first workplace, and the person I was working with was a Chinese lady, born in India, born and brought up, good friend of mine, now, maybe over the years, and her father was a chef at a Chinese room. Talk about a small world, that's a small world. My sister said you should have things to talk about, some stories you should always already have scripted. Hmm. She's a social meister, so she should know. I really haven't thought of anything. I got some fast one stories. So, Five Spice. First time I went to Five Spice was after having watched a movie with my school friends. I remember it being a very good movie. We actually decided to watch it, and I didn't know anything about it. And I said, "What is this movie?" It's called Lord of the Rings. I remember going to watch it and leaving the theater feeling it's a good movie. Lots gonna happen here. The journey's just begun. But I never watched the next two movies as it came out. I never really fell into that um fan lore because I've forever been allergic to fan lore. The moment something is a little too famous or popular, I have to not do it. I know it's. I mean, I've come to grips with that reality that the moment it's something that everyone agrees with, I want to take a contrarian opinion. But then as I've grown older, I realize that it's stupid to do that. But I know that it's a part of me, and I have to work against it actively. Anyway, coming back to Five Spice, the first time I went there was after this movie. We ended up saying we want to eat, and I had no idea, and they took me to Five Spice, the one at Fort, because we watched the movie in Regal. And so we went to Fort. I went to Five Spice, and we just ordered the food, and it was like tremendous food, and it wasn't expensive. And I was like, wow, this place is good food. How did I not know about this? And the reason I don't know this is because we don't live in Colaba. We used to live in like Grant Road area, Tardeo, that area, and so we didn't really explore Fort, and that's where it was. But then I think we frequented Five Spice all throughout college, and there's one story about that. When we were in college, you could probably go to Five Spice and eat a full meal, share it with about four people, economies of scale, and be able to spend about 150 rupees for a full meal. And I've been talking about starter, main course, rice, no dessert. You couldn't do it in dessert because dessert was where they got you. I almost had this theory that Five Spice wanted to just give you cheap food so you would come there and then they would kill you with the desserts. I don't know if it was an actual logic of theirs, but it definitely did work. So, Five Spice would give a basket of lychee mint or lychee candy. At the end of when they come with a bill, they would give you like a basket of lychee candy, and because we didn't have money to buy the dessert, we literally would pounce on this basket of lychee. You're supposed to take one per person, right? We would take about 5 per person. We would stuff it in our mouth, and we would start walking back to the station from there, going back to Churchgate Station. And at the end, we would start spitting out the lychee candy on the road as we go, because we just couldn't, take all of that candy, and ultimately would probably eat only about one. Interestingly, when we frequented it afterwards, maybe about closer to our final year, they stopped giving a full basket. It would just be about 5. They would just literally count the number of lychee candy they were giving out to each table. I think for the better, because you don't really need people to just pick on the lychee candy and actually just spit it out. It's good food. I gotta tell you a story about bad food, Chinese food. The absolute worst from a value to price to value ratio of Chinese ever. And I would like to say mainland China, because it's pretty bad. I mean, really bad. So let me give you the best of 3. Number 1 is going to be mainland China. Anyway, sorry, number 3. Second runner-up. Mainland China, I give it a big F. Everywhere they go, every time they've opened a store, and have had the misfortune of having to go to eat there, I've always hated it. I've always given it a fair shake, and I've always been disappointed. That's mainland China. It pretends to be authentic Chinese. I mean, they really have the gall to say that that's authentic. I'm gonna let it go. First runner-up, number 2nd spot. It's Mekong. Mekong at the St. Regis Hotel. I've eaten there. I've had the unfortunate experience of eating there. Both times was client lunches and dinners, and I've literally felt like there's better Chinese food available in like 50 different places that probably will charge you 1/10 the price of what you're charging, just because you're in a 5-star hotel here in Lower Parel. So, I mean, but the number 1 place, which is the worst price to value ratio, has to be Taj Gateway's Chinese restaurant, which, if I'm not wrong, is called, actually I don't remember what it's called, because it's so shitty. I'm never going there. I've had a meal literally for 3 people, and that it cost us I think 15,000 rupees for 3 people, and it was probably food that 5 Spice would probably not allow to leave the kitchen. I know, it's quite the indictment, but I'm making it. What is it called? Legacy of China? No, I don't know what it's called. The client who wanted to eat here was very clear. They wanted to eat at his restaurant because it's a part of the Taj. I told her what we can do instead is eat at the Links Pavilion about 50 meters away. The food is 10 times better. Only to realize for me that somewhere the client wanted to eat at a 5-star hotel and not at a 5-star restaurant. I think it's a bad trade-off. That's just me. Links is a really good restaurant. I've never had the good fortune of going to China Garden. I think it's shut down. It's even worse. Chinese food is addictive. I can't stay away from it. I mean, I'll eat more than I can actually digest or take. Can you see my dog? Yeah. If she continues to want this food, I'm gonna give her a whack because she's got her own food. I'm trying my best to finish and walk away before I take the unfortunate decision of eating more. And that's going to be right now. I love Chinese food. And that was my mukbang for chicken fried rice and black bean sauce.